Let us talk about the prologue to the Canterbury Tales. Starts by introducing the seasonal setting, which is the month of April, which marks the beginning of the season of spring. The first showers of the rain gives relief to the plants whose roots absorb the water and begin to sprout, and the plants begin to sprout. There is general greenness and life comes back. The flowers also begin to blossom again. It is the period that pilgrims start thinking of going on pilgrimages, especially as the sun begins to take its course on the second half of the zodiac of the ram. Birds begin to chirp on trees and the weather is very friendly. Pilgrims could carry out internal pilgrimages, such as visiting shrines of martyrs within the country, like those in this text are doing by going to Canterbury to visit the shrine of St. Thomas à Becket. Other pilgrimages could be carried out to Rome or to other towns like Cologne in Germany, or you could take a pilgrimage by going to the Holy Land. Sometimes also rich people could hire people to make pilgrimages for them, and they were paid according to the distance and the risks involved in the pilgrimage. Many people come from the countryside to undertake the pilgrimage to visit the shrine of St. Thomas à Becket in Canterbury, whom they believe had interceded on their behalf when they were sick or had health challenges. So most of the people who are undertaking the pilgrimage, they're actually doing so not for penance, but for thanksgiving. Chaucer relaxes in his room in a hotel in the southwest side of London when 29 pilgrims come in to lodge there. The hotel or the inn or the hostelry is called the Tabard Inn. And they have to make 70 miles of journey the next morning to go to Canterbury. That's close to about 112 kilometers. The inn has large rooms. The food quality is excellent. The wine, the alcohol is strong, the entertainment is good, and the pilgrims love it. Chaucer speaks to all of them by evening and realizes that they are very friendly. And they all become friends. And he now knows that all of them want to take the pilgrimage like himself. During supper, the innkeeper, Mr. Harry Bailey, suggests that he accompanies the pilgrims on their journey to provide them with some of their needs. He appoints himself the master planner of the journey, and to make the journey lively, he proposes that each pilgrim will tell 2 stories, to and fro Canterbury. That is, 4 stories each. 2 on their way and 2 on the return journey. He makes it very clear that the stories must be popular, stories of old. They must be entertaining, and they must have a moral lesson. The best storyteller will be given a free meal that will be bought by the other pilgrims on their return journey back at the Tabard Inn. All the pilgrims agree to his suggestion, and each story must have a short prologue. On the outskirts of London, the host draws lots to get who will start the storytelling exercise. Coincidentally, it falls on the knight, who also happens to be the most socially high-ranking pilgrim among the 29. Chaucer defines the criterion by which he will x-ray the following pilgrims, starting with their class, their dressing code, their physical appearance, and their moral character. He prefers to start with the knight because he respects the feudal tradition or system, which is very stratified. And he also wants to use the knight as a yardstick or a measuring rod to compare or judge the other pilgrims, to compare or to prove if they are worthy or not for taking the pilgrimage. The prologue is very significant. If they can ask you a question, for example, comment on the importance of the prologue to our understanding of the general prologue. It is significant because it introduces the seasonal season of spring, which highlights or symbolizes mobility, life, rejuvenation, and spiritual rebirth. It also introduces the characters who are 29 in number and who have decided to undertake a pilgrimage to visit and pay homage to the shrine of St. Thomas à Becket in Canterbury. From this 29, he will be able to draw a conclusion and allow the reader to conclude for themselves if each and every one of them had undertaken the pilgrimage for religious purposes or for pleasure. The meeting at the Tabard Inn, which is a luxurious and comfortable inn, highlights pleasure. The pilgrims do not say prayer upon arrival and upon departure to indicate that they had transformed a religious journey to one of pleasure and worldliness. The friendship that they share with one another and fraternize with one another at the inn highlights camaraderie. The storytelling exercise is born out of the Tabard Inn, casting a doubt if the people were devoted to the pilgrimage or not. One of the reasons why they have to tell stories is that they want to make the journey lively, and the story should be entertaining. In addition, the prize for the best storyteller would have been a religious relic, maybe a Bible or something of that sort. It's going to be a plate of food. The narrative clearly indicates what parameters that he's going to use to give us the portrait of each and every pilgrim, beginning from their profession, their dressing, their class, their moral character, and the duty of the students is to find out from the portrait of each character whom amongst them took the journey for pleasure and whom amongst them took the journey for religious purposes. Chaucer x-rays the characters and exposes them to the reader for the reader to draw a conclusion. It should also be noted that the medieval period was one which was very materialistic, and the church had failed to live up to standards because of its materialistic and corrupt nature.